This will be a two-part lesson since there's a lot of information to retain here, so don't worry if you need to pause the video as you go along to digest the information that I give you. So as we learned in the last lecture about pentatonics, there are 5 notes in total, and that means that there are 5 shapes that you can play, 5 patterns across the neck to help you unlock the pentatonic scale across the whole neck. We'll continue to stay in the key of A minor or C in these coming examples. Now the 5 shapes that we learn all interlink with each other and can be referred to as forms. So if we think of this in a minor context, we're going to use the minor pentatonic scale for our form 1. Or alternatively, if we think about this in a major context, we're going to use that major pentatonic shape as our form 1. For simplicity of explaining this right now, I'm going to be talking in a minor context, so we're going to choose the key of A minor. So form 1 is considered our root position. Form 2 is conveniently the same shape as our major pentatonic. But in a minor context, this is simply just form 2, not C major pentatonic. Form 3 sounds like this. I'm going to play this one really slow as it might be new to you. Now this pattern contains exactly the same notes as form 1, it just starts on the 3rd note of form 1. If we start on the 4th note of form 1, making it form 4, you would have this shape. Now you can also bring that back an octave to your nut position, which would sound like this. Same shape, we're just using the nut to our advantage rather than the 12th fret. And our last position, form 5, would start either on the 15 here, or similarly 12 frets behind, an octave back. We'll start on the 3rd fret here since it's exactly the same and we want to cover the first half of the neck before going on to the 2nd. So we start on the 3 here and we have and there you have it. Those are the 5 positions or 5 forms of the minor pentatonic scale across the entire neck. And as I said, what you see on the first half of the neck is going to be exactly the same beyond the 12th fret on the second half of the neck. These forms are relative to the key of A minor being form number 1. If we wanted to play it relative to a major key, so let's choose the relative major, which is C. C major would be form 1, which is this shape here. Form 2 would be the shape next to it. Form 3 would be the shape next to that. Form 4 would be this shape, which I'll play 12 frets back. And form 5 would be the minor pentatonic shape. Spend some time trying to memorize these shapes. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut to this. You just need to spend some time, and the more experience you get on this, the more familiar you're going to get with the 5 forms across the neck. But the best thing that you can do is to take it into bite-sized chunks. So what I recommend is that you build around form 1. So for example, if we take form 1 of your minor pentatonic scale here, I'm sure you're very confident of playing that one already, so try and memorize form 1 and form 2 to begin with. Maybe descend one and ascend the next. Once you're comfortable with form 1 and 2, then add one of the surrounding forms. So you could add form number 5, which falls behind form number 1, or you could add form number 3, which comes after form 2. Let's choose form number 5, for example. Again, maybe I want to ascend form 5 and descend form 1. And then maybe ascend form 2. And as you get more comfortable with this, maybe you'll be able to ascend and descend on any given string and move horizontally at any given time. So for example, So you see how I sort of blended the three forms together into one path. And of course, once again, that takes experience and time. But as I said, it's best just to take two forms at a time to begin with and do your best to merge them as best as you can. So let's move on to part 2 of this lesson now. Now eventually, once you get used to these shapes, you'll still feel quite restricted to box shapes and patterns. So I'm going to give you a few tips and strategies to break free of those boxes and try to blend these shapes into one huge path along the neck. Now currently, you'll find that you're very good at playing guitar vertically, so up and down. But our goal, as I mentioned, is to be just as confident playing horizontally. So the best thing that you can do is to take each of these forms and isolate 2 strings at a time. So we'll use the bottom string set for this example. I'm going to play form 1, then form number 2, then form 3, form 4, and then form 5. So we're working horizontally here, and of course I can go backwards the opposite direction. So form 1, form 5, and then of course the last set, the open string here. Okay, so it's important to be able to go in any direction at any given time. So that's a good start. Try and get comfortable with that string set going up and down, like so. As you get comfortable with this idea, perhaps you want to experiment further by skipping forms and taking larger jumps across the neck. So for example, we could go from form 1 straight to form 3. And then sort of mix them up a bit. So you see I jumped between different forms there, and to be able to do that you really need to visualize everything relative to the root position. You cannot visualize form 3 or form 5 or any of the other forms without the context or the root position. Now once you can do this on the bottom string set, of course you can move up to the next string set, which is the G and the B strings, and you could try the same things, taking one sequence of 4 at a time. So within form 1 we have form number 2, we've got form number 3, form 4, and then form 5. Now once again, gain confidence with this, going up and down, perhaps blend some of the shapes together. You could try something like this. So you see I kind of ascended one, descended the next, ascend, descend, and so forth. There are many different things that you can try here. It's really all about experimenting and just developing your comfort with these shapes and patterns. Now I encourage you to try this with every string set. I'm not going to go through every single one on this video. I want you to try and work some of this out yourself, but spend some time on this. And the ultimate goal, as I said, is just to be a bit more comfortable playing horizontally rather than just up and down, so that you have melodic freedom when you're playing the pentatonic scale across the whole neck.